welcome to Rude Awakening. I don't know what episode this is. We'll probably make this a raw file.
Yeah, it's going to be raw file 2.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a little short. But we wanted to do a little bit of a round robin thing here. We wanted to strike while the fire is hot, so to speak, on this COVID-19 coronavirus thing that's going on. The date is March, I have to think about it, March 18th, 2020. And so now already we've had a number of states that are shutting down and creating an awful lot of problems. Here in Colorado, we haven't hit too many problems. All our resorts are shut down, restaurants, bars, gyms, things of that nature. But it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So we wanted to talk about preparation, because in the catastrophe cycle that we had discussed before, what's going on right now is nothing compared to what we're talking about. In the last episode, episode 3, we talked about the magnetosphere and the fact that what we're looking at here will completely send mankind back to the Stone Age immediately, within a second. And if you think this is bad with the coronavirus, it ain't nothing compared to what we're talking about here. So that emphasizes the point that we got to talk about preparation. This is something that you really need to keep focused on throughout your lifetime, so that you are better prepared than what we're going through right now. So
yeah, this is nothing.
It's pretty crazy. And I'm going to add a caveat here. Tommy and I don't agree on 100% of things. He's got a different viewpoint of things, from his life as well as I do. So we're going to sit here and we're going to drink a few beers and take a couple shots. And people with opposing views, I mean, what could go wrong? So.
Yeah, I don't have my gun in here right now. So.
Fortunately, I left mine in the truck. So. Alrighty. Okay, so let's just have a little fun with this. It's not that we're not taking it seriously. It's just that we're not taking it too seriously. Okay, preparation. So in the past week, we've seen a dramatic onslaught of hoarding. And what this is indicative of is that people are not prepared for even the slightest change in their routine. It began with the hoarding of toilet paper. And so people are now calling this Sharmageddon, which makes a whole lot of sense. And then paper towels, and then canned goods was the next thing that went. And now when we go to the grocery store, probably 25% of the shelves are completely bare. Here in Colorado, in Fort Collins, where I do the shopping, I own a grocery store. And basically I cater to the 500 permanent residents here in Red Feather. So I have to do 95% of my shopping down in town, which is 70 miles away. And right now, I don't even go with a shopping list. I basically pick up whatever I can at the time to try to fill my shelves to take care of the 500 permanent residents up here in Red Feather during the wintertime. I'm glad it didn't happen in the summer, because that would be a whole lot worse. What it points to is that people aren't prepared.
They're not at all.
It's like, when the CDC and the government came out and said that we needed to prepare ourselves for 30 days of quarantine, most people aren't prepared for 1 day of quarantine.
That's just weird.
And now the government, from what I'm hearing today in the CDC, is saying this could go on for 18 months. That's scary.
Yeah.
And people are completely unprepared for this. So I remember as a kid, my mother, her entire extended family, we always had 6 months worth of food.
Yep, we did too.
Stockpiled. And because we knew something like this would happen at some point.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, the toilet paper thing kind of threw me for a loop. Again, I'm in a good position. I own a grocery store. I already have that stuff. But in order for me to utilize all that stuff, I've got to shut my doors down and take care of number one.
Right.
So
yeah. Well, and it's just weird, the whole toilet paper thing. I'm thinking all these new millennials and these new people. I mean, all they talk about is eating ass these days.
Yep.
So I guess it's pretty important, but even so, if you're just smearing around some paper to clean it, it's still. It just doesn't make sense to me, but
yeah, and I'm thinking of all the different ways that we could resolve that problem. I mean, literally, it's been a week, 7 days, and even me, I can't get that stuff from my vendors.
Yeah,
it's what you guys are going through is what I'm going through. Only I'm doing it for 500 people. So I'm thinking of all kinds of different ways to take care of the toilet paper crisis, and
I've already heard about that today a little bit.
Oh yeah,
you're getting yeah. I'm not gonna name names. I know somebody was on you about toilet paper today. And I haven't even asked you. Have people gotten mad about you not being able to get some of that stuff?
No, up here in the mountains we have a different philosophy of life. We have a lot more preppers up here in the mountains.
No, yeah, like when we go down to downtown,
mm-hmm.
we prepare ourselves for about 4 months.
Yeah,
and like that's what we do. We've
mm-hmm.
always done that. Actually, I grew up the same way as like we were talking about earlier, from Boy Scouts on.
Yep, I heard one lady that was talking to a number of millennials. And they were talking about how gross it is or how stupid it is that people can food. And I'm thinking, man, when I was a kid, if you didn't can food, you didn't make it through the winter.
Yeah, we were always canning food.
That's just crazy. I mean, these are simple, basic skills that everyone should have. It just floors me of how unprepared everyone has been on this little thing. I mean, we're talking about a virus that at this point we have 100, as of today, 112 deaths in the entire country. We got 300 million people in the United States, and 112 people have died, and that has just completely decimated the economic system.
The media, to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it has a lot to do with it.
If you could turn off your TV, but I mean, still just do your normal thing, like a normal person, wash your hands and.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but being prepared, to me, you should always be prepared. Like having a gun.
Yep.
To me, it's better to have it and not need it.
Mm-hmm.
Than to not have it and need it.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with simple food or anything else.
Yeah. And this is the first time, I had to say this, first time in 5 years that I've actually had to go down and buy ammo. And I'll give you an example. Just yesterday, I went down to one of the grocery stores in town 70 miles away. It's a 140-mile round trip for me. And there was some guy out in front of the store, and anyone that got within 50 feet of him who made eye contact with him, he was challenging them to a fight.
Wow.
And the cops showed up in 3 minutes. And on this guy. And fortunately, I had my gun. And now I'm sitting there going, okay, do we just report the guy, or do I go over there and tell him to shut the fuck up? I could have done it either way.
There's a fine line when it comes to that.
But that's the kind of things that you have to worry about. I mean, everyone is fucking stressed the fuck out.
Yeah, everybody is.
And I see with my customers all the time. So having a gun, hopefully you never have to use it.
But
we really have to concern ourselves, because at this point people are just going crazy over this, what I consider a minor hiccup in things. Because here's how it started. Someone decided they didn't have enough toilet paper, so they went out to the store and they bought a whole bunch of toilet paper. Maybe they were in the know. Maybe they knew this was going to go on for a couple months.
Maybe they had the shits.
Yeah, could be. But they go out and they do that. Someone sees them, and then all of a sudden they're thinking, oh, coronavirus, maybe we should do the same thing. There was no reason for that to happen, because the distribution system was not affected at all. This was pure panic.
Not until people started hoarding.
Exactly. And then once they started hoarding that, then it was a free-for-all in the grocery store. I mean, you went with me down there a couple days ago.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, I went to go, I grabbed a basket to grab myself. Oh, yeah, my wife, Ashley, she wants some spaghetti. I'm like, sweet. So I just grabbed a little basket. I just grabbed a couple things. No. Every aisle we walked past was completely all the way to the back. I just kind of set the basket down. I'm like, okay. Because we're prepared. We got plenty of stuff up here. But at the same time, we wanted spaghetti.
Yep.
But it was insane, dude. I'm just like, okay, well, I don't think it's going to last too long. To me, as fast as it came, it's going to disappear just as fast.
Right. And that's because the distribution system wasn't upset.
Yeah.
It's there. It's in the warehouses. It's just they weren't counting on everyone to all of a sudden need to wipe their ass a million times, So when you went to the pasta aisle, how much pasta was there?
None.
None.
Except there was 3 boxes of gluten-free.
Gluten-free quinoa.
That was all.
Quinoa, whatever they call it.
Yeah, whatever it was.
And I don't care how bad it gets. It's got to get pretty bad for me to eat that stuff. So.
Yeah. Nope. So yeah, then I was like, yeah, I'll just get it at your place.
Yeah. Well, I knew I had it in the store.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things. Something to think about is that here in the mountains, we have people that are prepared. And the reason is that frequently the power will go out. It'll go out for, I've seen it as much as 3 days at a time. On top of that, we all have the mentality that if the local store, which is me, doesn't have everything that you absolutely want, they'll just decide to do something else, or they'll make it work.
You make it work.
So that's just the mentality of the mountain people. But the point is we were prepared. And so that's why even after a week now of the stores being bare in Fort Collins, we still have stuff on our shelf. Yeah, it's making it more difficult for me to fill the shelves. At this point, I don't even go down with a shopping list. I just basically pick out whatever I can to fill the shelves.
So you know your store too.
Exactly.
You know all the people up here.
Yep.
And what people need. Which was cool. When I was at your store earlier, there was a guy that came in too. He's like, I got a bunch of elk meat. He's like, if you know anybody, man, he's like, I got tons of it. And that's what's cool about up here.
Yep.
It's like there's so many people actually we're kind of coming together a little bit.
Yeah.
Except for some of the weird pervs.
Well, everyone's got one of those.
Yeah. But and
if you don't know who it is, it's you.
Well, it's at least my name. But yeah, there's so many people that want to help out. Like, yeah, dude, I got a freezer full of elk, or I got this. There's a lot of hunters and fishermen up here.
Yep.
And we do things ourselves up here.
Yeah.
When the power goes out, we love it. And what are you gonna do? How are you gonna cook food? Well, we got a wood burning stove.
Yep.
It does everything. Heats the house, cooks our food, does everything. And we like being prepared. I've always been like that. And I think everybody should be.
Yep, absolutely. I had one customer come in today who was talking just, exactly about that. And here's where us mountain people are a little bit different than what you have in the city. One is that right now we have flocks of, herds of as many as 30 deer just running around. I mean, things got so bad, we got 3 roads that run into this town. It would be really easy to shut off those roads. We got all this wildlife, bear and deer and all kinds of bird life, and we got fishing galore.
17 fishing lakes, isn't it?
17 lakes in this area. And, I mean, if worse came to worse, we would still have a food source. Now, we don't have the growing season that they do.
But I know a lot of people that have indoor growing.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck it's called, goddammit. Cut that one.
No, leave it in. Getting back with him on the last episode.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, no, they do. They have greenhouses that they use. In fact, I installed a greenhouse for a gentleman just a couple years ago that's wood-fired.
Oh, yeah.
And so he just takes wood, fills it up, heats up his whole house. All the excess heat that he had, he put in a massive greenhouse. And so he's growing, food all year round. So.
Ashley does back here.
Oh, really?
Got tomatoes growing in the background. Yep. She's picking them off the plant all the time, eating them.
Yep.
Delicious.
So, I mean, it's the thing is that you just have to have the mentality that something like this is going to happen, occasionally. This was a great example, and that's why we wanted to do this today, is because you guys are living it. And I want you to understand that this is a big problem, that people are unprepared for this kind of stuff. So, that's really the moral of the lesson, is that you have to think along those lines. You have to take some steps. You have to, realize that while this is going on right now, it's one of many, many, many things that can happen in the future. So, Tommy, and I know you and I have discussed this for a while, and I've shown you the scientific documents on it from NASA.
I think I probably have them right over
here. Yeah, at some point I want to be able to post those. Got them right there.
And on top of documents and documents, and this guy keeps giving me more and more papers to read and books.
Sorry.
No. I'm trying to keep up. I really am trying to keep up. But, here it is.
Yeah. This is the NASA document. And this document was written by the Ames Research Center directly to NASA. And what it was talking about is the effects of a low and very low magnetic field. Now, the last episode 3, we had talked about how the magnetosphere is weakening and North Pole is moving. But I don't think everyone realizes that as that magnetosphere is weakening, it is having biological effects on us. As it says right here, again in this 1970 scientific paper, it says, living beings probably cannot be removed from the geomagnetic environment without penalty. And then it says, after citing scientific research paper on that, it says there is a correlation between the time of extinction of certain living species and the occurrence of geomagnetic polarity reversals. They provide suggestive evidence for a significant influence of the geomagnetism on terrestrial life. Now, basically what it's saying is that as we're going through this period of weakening magnetosphere, that it's going to have biological effects on us. Okay? And in, I think this will be the first time I cite the Chan Thomas book, The Adam and Eve Story. If you have not read that, I highly recommend it.
I think I still have that right here.
Yeah, I'm going to put a link to it in the comments for this episode because it's just fascinating reading. But what we come to learn is that as the geomagnetic forces on the Earth, the magnetosphere, dwindle and drop down, it's going to have an adverse effect on living beings. Remember in the last episode we talked about how in the ancient mythological stories we covered Plato, we covered Mother Shipton. It's always talking about mankind just going crazy. And I directly relate that to the effects of the magnetosphere. The scientific evidence is showing us that when that happens, the people are just going to lose their mind. They're going to get violent. And when that happens, you better be prepared. On top of that, another reason to prepare is that, remember, we talked about the polar reversal or shift and the effects that that's going to have on the tectonic plates. If you think people are unprepared now, it's nothing compared to what we're talking about going on at that particular time.
It's going to be like a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
In a way, because you already have this, how people are like already aggressive.
Yeah.
Even on social media, Facebook, all that shit. People are getting aggressive. So imagine when they get that aggressive with this kind of stuff going on.
Yep.
People are going to be killing people over toilet paper at that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're seeing it now.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be.
Even the local Costco, one of the patrons accosted the employees. They had to shut the store down. And that was just last week, and that was over fucking toilet paper. I mean, if it came to food, it's gonna be a whole lot worse.
Yeah, that will be. People will be killing each other over food.
Well, of course they will. I mean, that's just stands to reason. You look at the history of mankind. What have the majority of the wars been over, aside from personal differences, religious differences, political,
mostly
whatever?
Religious.
It's resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want your resources.
Boom, gone. I'm taking your shit.
It's not a far stretch to see that. So, in the Chan Thomas book, Story of Adam and Eve, you'll notice towards the end of it, it talks about that the effect of low magnetic fields on mice in laboratories. And with the mice, they just went crazy. They started killing each other. They started raping each other. How you know whether a mouse is raping one another or not, but evidently it has something to do with the violence that was a part of that. The point is that I don't want everyone to freak out. Okay? I want everyone to understand that you need to prepare yourself physically. You need to prepare yourself mentally. And this is the time to do it. Not waiting until the events start taking place. As the magnetosphere starts to weaken, I anticipate that there's going to be a gradual lead up to it and then an instantaneous event. And as you're going through that gradual lead up to it, as the magnetosphere weakens, the rotation of the Earth becomes erratic or slows down over a period of time, what do you think is going to happen? Based on what you saw with the coronavirus this week.
Media panic. Yeah, it's going to be nasty.
Yep.
It's going to be very nasty, so you need to prepare now.
Now. Get at least 6 months worth of resources together. start setting aside things that you can trade.
Gold, silver
are
good because money's not going to matter.
Yep.
And then big bags of rice, hard beans. I mean, bags of that stuff's great.
Yeah, and it's really easy to do. You only have to do it a little at a time. I mean, I don't know how much time there is between now and the events as we see the geological changes that are taking place. We realize that we're in that season. We need to start preparing now, and you just need to stick with it. I mean, even if you only have 30 days worth of stuff right now, obviously that's not hard to do because that's what the whole hoarding thing's about.
Yeah.
Is the government came out and said you need to prepare for 30 days. Well, thanks for the 2 days notice. I really appreciate it. By the way, 2 days later, they shut down all the businesses, and now people don't have the money to do that. But even if you had 30 days and just started rotating through that, that is a reasonable and relatively easy thing to do. And you have to have a sense of self-preservation. Okay, you don't have to go crazy and threaten your neighbors or be paranoid of your neighbors. But it would be nice to have that comfort of thought when something like this happens. Ideally, 6 months would be great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, something that you really need to prepare yourself for.
Для вас на сегодня было 1, 2, 3.